And somebody reached out to me, our founder reached out to me and voiced, hey, we have the village, and would this be something that interests you? It was so new at the time, but I still have a brother out there homeless in the streets. I still have other family members out there struggling. And so when he said, there's this thing to help people, would you be interested? It was of course. And I've been with the village for 3 years now, and got the opportunity to help build the prep school, to help structure some of the village and go through these ups and downs. But it has been a dream come true to get to help people that, we thought, it's been a challenge, but it's been the most beautiful thing I've ever been a part of. Every day we get to see people's light come back on in their lives, and everybody's not the same. It's not always drugs. It's not always addiction and incarceration, but there is that need for connection, that need for purpose, that need for accomplishment, and the need for opportunity and support is huge. And so it has been an amazing journey.
Welcome to Motivational Monday. Conversations with me, David Ibarra, and my two guests today are Jackie Tress and Robbie Myrick. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us on.
Now, the two of you are on a special mission on a brand new project that can really change the lives of so many, called The Other Side Village. Jackie, why don't we start with you and tell me a little bit about what you do there, your responsibilities, and then I'm going to follow up and have you tell me your story.
All right. So my responsibilities at the village, I work at the village prep school, and that's where people come in straight off the streets, maybe out of the shelter, or if they're in a treatment program, to come change their lives. And we offer whole person change and teach people how to, do different things that they might have lost along the way, like have accountability, hold other people accountable, have confidence, how to have good hygiene, how to set and maintain medical appointments, take medications, all of the things that get forgotten about when you're just surviving on the street.
So when you're talking about whole, so that's what you're talking about, whole people.
Yep.
Right? And we've talked a lot about in housing first. I think you all have a different term for it, and it's like people first.
Human first is our approach.
Right, human first, and the whole. What kinds of things do you see stand out that people are just missing that are coming back into a community?
I would say community is the biggest part, relationships, having somebody there that they can build a trust and a bond with that has lived experience and knows exactly what they're going through. I think that a lot of times people become a case number or a file, and the person inside is forgotten about. So I think having that human first approach, it makes it different.
Well, I tell you what, not fixing the individual, taking the self-discovery to fix the things that they need to fix. And all of us have to do this in one way or another, and certainly not at the degree of somebody that is experiencing the crisis of homelessness, but daring to take that journey and not just provide somebody 4 walls to sit in and still have the injuries within that aren't going to be able to provide them the desire to go forward with hope. What kinds of, tell me about just the process, if you would, how it would begin. Is it placement? Is it interview? Tell me about that.
So first what would happen is we have a director of recruitment. His name is Mo, and he's the one that goes out and he finds people that might be a good fit for our program. He'll do a first interview with them, kind of get to know them, and then he'll send them my way if he thinks they're ready for a second interview. I'll reach out to them and I'll set up a second interview, and one of our coaches or 2 of our coaches, if they're available, will go out and interview them face to face. And really
go out and interview them. Go out where?
Wherever they are. We'll meet them wherever they're at, whether it's, the shelter, or if they're at a treatment program. If they're on the streets, we'll go to a Starbucks or a Burger Burger King or wherever we can, where we can just share some space and really just get to know the individual and see what their motivation is to change, you know, and explain what our process is, because a lot of people hear about us and they think that it's just housing. You know, we get a lot of calls where people are just like, okay, how do I sign up for housing? How do I get on the wait list? And it's our duty to tell them it's more than that. It's about changing your life, building your character, and becoming a whole different person. Because if we just give you housing, you're not going to keep the housing if you don't do something different.
Well, we've seen the example of just building an apartment and giving somebody a voucher to get in it. There's one right around the corner called the Magnolia House. And brand new facility, and it has not been a good result. But let's move on into Robbie. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name's Robbie Myrick. I oversee the coach team for both the Other Side Village, where the small home community is, small cottage-style home, and the prep school, where Jackie, she manages the prep school itself. So I oversee the coach team.
Great. Tell me a little bit about the prep school and the coach team. Prep school, what is that?
So the prep school is where you go, and if you think moving into the village is the game itself, the prep school would be practice. So that's where you're going and getting your legs underneath you and practicing some of these skills you'll need to live life healthy, strong boundaries, being vulnerable, learning how to navigate through the different systems. And it's where you get your foundation and the skills you need to be able to thrive once you move into the village. You get all of that in the prep school before you get to the village. It's 6 months to a year, depending on how quickly you progress. And then you get the chance upon completion to get your home.
Upon going there, and it's interesting, I do a lot of performance improvement seminars, books, and etc. And whenever you want to change, the one thing that I share with people, stage one of improvement is to have controlled success. What does that mean? You have to have a coach right by you. And you have to invite that word, help me control the actions I do until they develop into patterns that are good patterns that get me rewards, and replace the bad patterns. And it sounds like you're involved in that first phase. Second phase, getting in the rhythm that you're doing it so often. And sometimes that takes, it's not going to be 12 weeks. Sometimes it takes a couple of years.
It could be you're always going to change and learn and grow in life. We want you to have the tools to, be able to learn and grow. And so you live your life, you're constantly going to change and evolve, but we're hoping you have that basic, most fundamental things in place. So that way, when you move into the community, you can continue on that trajectory.
So you're the coach of the coaches.
You could say that, yes.
How many coaches do you have?
Right now we have a team of 8 or 9. We have some coaches in the prep school, some coaches in the village itself, and in our social enterprise, we have coaches there as well.
Robbie, how does somebody become a coach?
So right now a lot of our coaches are graduates of the Other Side Academy itself. And that's just because going through that process, you get the chance to help people. There's people who came and interviewed at the academy, and you're not able to stay there if you need certain medications, clinical support. And so that tugs on your heartstrings as a student. And when we realized, hey, who is good at building a peer-led community that's accountable and self-reliant? And there was no other answer aside from the academy. And so that might change in the future. But if somebody has a burning desire to help somebody, lived experience, they've walked these paths before, and they really are sincere about wanting to help another person, they could give us a call.
Now, I want you to both just chime in on this next question. Peer-driven. Tell me about that. What does that mean?
You want to take it away?
Sure. So peer-driven is essentially, we are not a hierarchical community. And peers are going to lead other peers. So if I'm doing something wrong, I expect my peer to hold me accountable and vice versa. So that's how the community works. We don't go in there just as, oh, okay, we're coaches, so we're going to tell you what to do and what not to do. We're going to walk beside them, but the community is what holds the community accountable. If there are certain things that they want to change or shift, they will present that idea to the community, and as peers, they will all vote on those things, and they work together. So it's not just operated on the basis of, okay, here we're the staff and we're above you, so it's peers leading peers. And that's the same thing that helped me when I went through the academy.
So in a business, you call that protecting your culture. You have culture if everyone within would hold somebody accountable for when they go outside the culture. Whoa. We don't do that here. We do this. And that's one of the lessons that you're teaching, to be a member of a community, that we protect the community.
Yeah. Very much so. You can tell the secret sauce to being happy in life is actually to try to make other people happy. And so you can see when somebody's making that shift and they're realizing, okay, it's not just about me, it's about this entire community. My voice is equally important, but I'm responsible for the people next to me. It's what we call a 200% accountability model. We took that from the academy and carried it over to the village. It's a little bit different, but we're the sum of our parts.
So in other words, if somebody's not living up to the culture of the community within the village, they can be voted out of the village.
Very much so. You could be voted out. The community takes on responsibility for who it accepts. You get voted in, how it operates, the standards we live to. And obviously it's a safe place to learn and grow and make mistakes and face challenges. But if over time you were proving that you didn't want to live by the way the community standard, you could be asked to leave.
Right.
And it's so empowering. Imagine if every other place, you mentioned the Magnolia, imagine if there's some standards and expectations and the community was empowered to say, hey, you're not living up to that. How much ownership and protection each person has. So we don't need police officers to walk around the village and protect it. Every person there has ownership.
Right. And, I really strongly believe you can't change until you have a desire to change.
Yep.
And sometimes, whether it's even having to face the legal system, why would you do that? And to me, why would you not love somebody so much that you would dare to do that again and again, but always show the path when you're ready? And somebody sometimes is going to say, hey, Robbie, I can't live this way anymore. Can you help me? Bingo. That's the beginning. That's the start.
Yeah, that is such a powerful statement. We see eye to eye exactly with that. You need the accountability, and you also need the support, saying, hey, this is how we live and this is what we do. And to be able to treat somebody like a human being, not like, you wouldn't be able to live up to these expectations, or this is all they'll ever be able to accomplish. We believe people are infinitely capable, and we don't limit people. We give them a chance to show, this is who I am, what I'm capable of, and it's beautiful to watch people step up and step up. We have some awesome social enterprises, the Other Side Donuts, and it is thriving right now. And, when we first started the village, they said we would have a hard time getting people to work every day.
Right. I tell you, people are going to be wondering, our viewers, because this is probably the 5th or 6th podcast that we've had on the Other Side of Village or the Other Side Academy. And Motivational Monday, what does it mean? We hear in the news everything that's wrong, pointing out we got problems with camps and homelessness and crime, and it's not pointing it out and not telling the story that is motivational of the correction.
Yeah.
So I love talking about the Other Side Village and the Other Side Academy. I'm going to ask you both to tell us your story. I want to start at the beginning. Where did you start? Where are you now? And where are you headed? So tell me your story. Where did you start?
At what age do you wish you had unlocked the principles that lead to success? Where do you think you'd be today if you had learned them as a child? Yes, Our Kids Can is a program developed at Harvard and tested in San Antonio's school systems, designed to give children of all backgrounds the opportunity to plant the seeds for future success, using learning techniques they understand and enjoy. Through engaging animated stories, fun sing-along songs, and interactive games, Yes, Our Kids Can teaches your child the empowering, success-driven principles needed to reach their full potential. Don't miss this opportunity to give your children the future they deserve. Yes, Our Kids Can is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Sign up today and help make your child's dreams a reality.
Hey, so I was originally born in New Jersey, and in my childhood we moved around a lot, and my mom was a single mom, and there was some abuse and stuff that I experienced as a child, and I was exposed to drugs at a pretty young age. And it kind of just became the norm for me. It was a way for me to find acceptance, and I kind of just got along with that crowd, the crowd of outcasts, and it was the first time I felt that camaraderie, so I was willing to do whatever to keep that. So that essentially spiraled into a lifelong drug addiction, primarily meth and heroin. And I thought for a long time that I had it under wraps just because I had a job and a house and, I still had custody of my daughter. But I wasn't really fooling anybody. I was trying to fool myself that, I could maintain this double life, but it was just unraveling. So I moved from state to state and essentially was just repeating my childhood with my daughter. So it was the same thing that I experienced, she was now experiencing. And I eventually moved to Colorado, and at that point, it was maybe my third or fourth time of trying to get on methadone and get off of heroin, but that just became an additional crutch. So I abused that system, and eventually I got kicked out of the methadone clinic and went right back to being on heroin and doing meth, pills, essentially whatever I could get my hands on. And I lost my house. I lost my vehicle. I lost my job. I sent my daughter to go live with my sister because I couldn't care for her. And honestly, at that time, I didn't want to care for her. Right. I was so wrapped up in my own selfish addiction that it was a relief in a way. I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about my daughter. I'm just going to worry about drugs and getting high. And at that time, I was literally on the street. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was on the street for several years, and it just went from bad to worse. And an endless cycle of in and out of jail, getting arrested for trespassing or theft or possession, whatever that looks like, it just over and over. And I think maybe my 7th or 8th time of being arrested, I was just felt in my soul. I was just tired. I knew that if I went back out there again, that I was going to die. I was lucky that, I hadn't died already, that I had no deed or, been, I don't know. I could go on and on. The possibilities are endless when you're out there. But I found out about the Other Side Academy while I was in jail. And this is in Denver. I was in Colorado Springs, and I found out about the academy in Denver. And I reached out and I wrote a letter, and everybody that I was in jail with, they're like, you're crazy. That's a really long program. You could just go to sober living, but I wanted something different. Right. I knew that there was more to me, and I was so broken and just hopeless, and I was just tired. And I didn't hear anything back. And then I went to court, and they told me that I was going to be released in 45 days. And I just had this panic response. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get released. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go right back out there. And I wrote another letter. And somebody came to give me an interview. And they wanted to know, why do you want to change your life? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And I was willing to do whatever it took. And
so 7 arrests. But that's probably led up to the desire that you're sharing. I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah, I was tired.
And then all kinds of possibilities opened up, and you enter the Other Side Academy.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 years.
Right.
I had the option to graduate at 2.5 years, and I elected to stay a third year. And within that third year, Robbie came to Denver, and I got sat in the room called the Quorum, and Lola, she's the director there, and Robbie and Ashley, who is my barber at the time, they all sat there and they're like, "What do you think about the Village?" I'm like, "I would love to work for the Village," and
Wow, cool.
I didn't hesitate. And I was super excited, and I still had to finish out that third year. But I moved out here, and I can't believe my life is what it is today.
How long have you been here?
I've been here for over a year.
Great.
Yeah.
And so that's where you are now. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I see myself still with the Village,
Cool.
for sure,
Yeah.
helping as many people as I can. Because if somebody didn't have that little grain of hope in me,
Right.
I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's what was lacking in my life before, while I was out there in those camps, hiding from the cops,
Right.
doing whatever. Nobody had hope in me. They just saw me as a lost cause. But then the academy, they saw something in me.
Right.
And the difference was the people that had succeeded in that program, they got me because they were me. At
Right.
one point. And now I feel the same way about the people that we help in the Village. I
Well,
get
tell
them
you what,
because,
your story motivates me.
thank you.
And just watching the expressions on your face and the joy that is the harmony within, it shows. And that has got to give hope to somebody that is at the beginning or the second stage or the third stage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Robbie, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I grew up in Alaska, small town in Alaska, and my parents split when I was young. And so I was basically raised by a single mother in rural Alaska. And she was doing the best she could, but there was times I experienced homelessness as a child where we would be living in a car, facing environments that weren't the best and weren't the healthiest. And, sometimes her working 2 and 3 jobs, you're not always in the best environment.
Right.
And so time going on, my family wasn't the healthiest. I have addicts and alcoholics on my family, both sides, a long ways back. And so as I aged, I was exposed to unhealthy behavior patterns. But I think the one thing, when you're growing up, you always just want to be accepted, and you want to be fit in, and you want to be part of the cool crowd and the cool kids. Well, in small town Alaska, there's not many kids there. So you're hanging out with a huge group of, there's a lot of diversity in age. And so I started making negative choices when I was younger, trying to fit in, experimenting with drugs and alcohol and some things like that. I experienced, I think when I was 7 or 8 years old, I had drank my first beer, experimented with marijuana, and I continued down that path. By the time I was about 13, my mom sent me to move to Utah to live with my father. I was unruly, and she was having a hard time, keeping track of me. When I moved down here to live with my dad, he's a military man, but I was kind of set in my ways. I had some siblings that lived the same unhealthy lifestyle, but always chasing acceptance, wanting to fit in, and finding the easy way to do that was to compromise my own integrity. And so by the time I got to be about 15, I was not doing anything in school, found myself addicted to heroin, and I was continuing to just make bad choices. I was hurting the people I loved. And all the while, I think of a 15-year-old as a kid. I didn't understand the gravity of these things, but I knew I felt bad. I knew I felt bad about it. I was a kid playing with adult things.
Right.
And I continued on that path, and I, experienced crime and ups and downs and homelessness on and off, and really the whole time kind of betraying what I knew to be right. I had a conscience at these times.
Right.
And I had tried to get clean and sober many times, and it wasn't working. I had, skip state, do all these different things, but I had never sat across from somebody else who had done what I had done, or done what I was trying to do. So at 26, 11 years, I'm crime, drugs, alcohol, and just getting more and more beat down where I didn't think I could do it. I thought this is who I'm going to be.
Right.
Well, I heard about the academy, and knew it was going to be hard, didn't quite understand what I was getting into. But when I got to the other side academy, I met some of the realest people who held me accountable. They told me things I didn't like, but I needed to hear.
Right.
And everybody in that place could tell a story that I was looking to hear. Say, hey, I've been where you were, and I got out of it. This is how I did it. And so I found myself staying at the academy for 4 years.
Wow, great.
You know, you do 2, and then your life's getting better, and you do a 3rd, and then you realize, okay, my days feel good when I'm helping other people, and it's getting better in ways I never imagined. At the end of 4 years, I realized I had done just about every leadership position in the house there was. I was, you know, an adult. I had never gone out and lived a healthy life, and I wanted to see what that was all about. And somebody reached out to me, our founder reached out to me and voiced, hey, we have the village, and would this be something that interests you? It was so new at the time, but I still have a brother out there homeless in the streets. I still have other family members out there struggling. And so when he said, there's this thing to help people, would you be interested? It was of course. And I've been with the village for 3 years now, and got the opportunity to help build the prep school, to help structure some of the village, and go through these ups and downs. But it has been a dream come true to get to help people that, you know, we thought, you know, it's been a challenge, but it's been the most beautiful thing I've ever been a part of. Every day we get to see people's light come back on in their lives, and everybody's not the same. It's not always drugs. It's not always addiction and incarceration, but there is that need for connection, that need for purpose, that need for accomplishment, and the need for opportunity and support is huge. And so it has been an amazing journey.
So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, starting a little family, definitely still involved with the village. Hopefully it's caught enough traction, or maybe it's being replicated. I'd like to see more people out there get helped.
Right.
But I could not see myself doing anything else. I love what I do every day.
So that village is designed to have 400 units, I believe.
Yes.
And it's now, I think there's 15. How many are out there?
Yeah, there is there's about 30 out there. We have 9 residents living on site right now. There's 61 homes for villagers to live in, 21 for the rent them out to generate revenue, and that's just phase 1. There's going to be 430 total, as well as the development of the new prep school, which is across the street from the academy.
Right.
But our prep school right now houses 20. Our next prep school is going to house 50. And so, yeah, we're very excited. We're getting some momentum going.
Well, I tell you what, I look forward to see 3 years from now, and what I see is the cleanest, safest, most attractive community in that part of our city. And when that happens, just as it happened with the Other Side Academy, and residents wanting, celebrating, man, there's nothing more motivating than seeing our lives turn on with a purpose, and we get the talent we need to achieve what we want. But more importantly, we take actions every day to make it real. And our mindset is such that we get to see the expressions on both of your faces that are incredibly positive. I want to thank you for coming on our show today. I've got something for each of you. I've got a copy of my latest book, Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich. And chapter 1, I use the example of Dave DeRocher, a big part of the Other Side Academy, of how he lived the first half of his life, destructive, but how he's living the now part of his life, saving lives. Same person, same mind. It's all about how we stuff our subconscious to think and believe in ourselves. Thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your longtime support.
My pleasure.